Peace, Necrocannon. Peace, Demetrius. Hello, Chaotic Scott. Peace, Amir El Bay. Duma. Peace. Wacky J. What's good, Wacky J? Mel Bling 444. Peace. Bree Nelson, hey. Lucky D, yep, just getting on here. What's good? Let's see what's good, Wacky J. What's good is tonight's discussion. That's what's good. Well, Lucky D got on here on time. Ain't something that dragged you. It's something in you that dragged you. That spirit. Nice stuff. Well, we're going to start soon. Just waiting for the stragglers. You know, there's always stragglers that come in late. Giving them a few more minutes before we start. Well, while we're waiting, the discussion this evening is on how to work vampiric sorcery. And it's going to be connected to a primordial chaos class that we did. You're going to see how the two are interrelated in certain aspects. But it's also going to go over basic steps on how to begin your journey as a vampire magician, vampire sorcerer, whatever term makes you feel happy at the end of the day. That's what we're going to go over this evening. So for those who are here early, we're going to begin. Those who come in late, they'll just have to catch up. But it's going to be an interesting discussion this evening because we're going to hit on things that we're familiar with and other things that we're not. So what we'll do at this time while we're waiting, I'm just waiting for one more person to show up. That's what I'm really waiting for. Everybody else, I know they're coming late. Amir El Bay, everything, as you already know, it's about mastering the self. And mastering the self can lead you to many different paths, many different outlets, I should say. But myself walking for years on the occult path, spiritual path, I ended up on the left-hand path. The reason for that is it's a path of self-mastery, self-development, self-growth, self-actualization, and self-deification. Now, people may run from, well, you're deifying yourself. And I'm not supposed to, because you should put yourself in high regards. You should put yourself on a higher level as far as your esteem, as far as how you view life. You shouldn't be embarrassed or scared to look at yourself as something great. That doesn't mean that you may be great or not already great. It just means you're always striving to be greater than you were yesterday and every day before that. That's the main focus on the left-hand path. Well, then the left-hand path, there's multiple various paths that you could choose from that can really help on the path of mastering yourself. The problem is people tend to be afraid of certain paths because we still have religious indoctrination or we have the conscious community indoctrination in our minds. And those kind of things kind of hold us back. And the only way to overcome all that, as we've been discussing for a while now, is basically going and tapping into that subconscious, which is what we did the class on Thursday, how to unlock your subconscious mind 5 ways. Going into that subconscious and reprogramming the bullshit that was put there prior to you setting out on a path of self-mastery. Because those things that are in there can wreak havoc on the path of self-mastery. It can wreck a lot of things in your life. So, a couple people have showed up that I was waiting for. So let's begin. I'll be coming from a little pamphlet or little book called Nox Umbra, N-O-X, Umbra, U-M-B-R-A, by Michael W. Ford. Vampirism is indeed a sinistral left way or left-hand path, a collection of various aspects of folklore and initiatory currents in black magic and sorcery. What enables sorcery to occur in a productive or destructive aspect is the combination of will, desire, and belief. Now, we've been discussing this for a while now. How strong is your will? Most of us would like to think our will is really strong. But do you really want to know what determines how strong your will is? It's the results that you get from the work that you're doing. That will show you how strong your will is. If you feel, okay, I have a will for whatever, and then you do work to make that desire come into fruition, but it doesn't, or not even close to it, then your will might not be as strong as what you think it is, which is also connected to your desire. What really is your desire? A lot of people, again, we've been taught a lot of right-hand path, fluffy ass mentality, fluffy philosophy. Desire leads to suffering. Well, see, that's the problem. Because on the left-hand path, or even in witchcraft or sorcery, your desire, regardless if you view it as selfish or not, is important. Is important for you getting results. As we discussed last week, your desire should be so strong that if you don't get the very thing that you desire, it causes some kind of emotional pain, physical pain. And then that desire, that pain will continue building until you're able to release your desire so strongly, outwardly. Some call it to the universe. Some call it whatever. You send it out with such power and will behind it that your desire is so strong that it's almost like you're busting off an orgasm. Okay? So keep in mind, what enables a sorcerer or sorceress to occur in a productive or destructive aspect when they work in their sorcery is the combination of will, desire, and belief. Vampirism within the current of modern witchcraft is a development from the Sabbat, or Sabbath, the infernal awakening of the sorcerer as a shadow manifestation, and here he's using Persian Zoroastrian archetypes of Ahriman. Ahriman, the Persian Zoroastrian sorceress being who is evil or adversarial chaos embodied. Now, this may scare some individuals. Well, why are you using what is considered to be evil? Why are you using the adversarial current? Because when you really study in-depthly about the adversary, what we tend to find is the adversary, and you can even watch this in Marvel movies, the adversary is actually kicking more truth than the actual hero character in any of these superheroes. Let's take the movie Black Panther for a second. Who is really kicking more truth? Eric Killmonger or T'Challa, the Black Panther? Think about that before you answer or react too quickly out of emotion. Use your mind to really answer that. Eric Killmonger was actually kicking the truth. But we're so blinded by this hero concept and right-hand path mentality that we can't really listen to or allow ourselves to even understand what the adversary is really saying. The adversary many times promotes individuality, promotes you mastering yourself. Instead of this group, cattle, sheep-like mentality, it is against that very mentality, and it goes into mastering the self. Black magic has long been viewed as a self-centered and selfish area of study, which often causes obsession and destruction. This, if I looked through a right-hand path or path of delusion, Christianity example, this is accurate according to their belief structure. But keep in mind that religious pathways such as Christianity hold no adversarial viewpoint rather than the extremes of the exact opposite side, which is not a natural point of study in itself. Can the Buddhists understand Christian thinking inherently and objectively? Yes. This path allows psychologically the ability to perceive and understand other views while still limiting material control and destroying the self in a natural order. Could Christians understand a Buddhist viewpoint as a majority? No. Can a left-hand path practitioner understand the religious doctrine of Christianity? Yes, while most of us find subservient behavior abhorrently disgusting. The Christian concept is to create a slave. You're basically a slave to God. And every part of your existence is to be a slave to God. Well, in Islam, in the modern day form of Islam, not the traditional sense of Islam, but the modern day form of Islam, it's also submission to Allah. And the problem is whenever you submit, whenever you bow down to, or whenever you worship or pray to something, you're becoming a weaker being because your energy is being dispersed outside of you. It's being given to something other than you. So as a left-hand path practitioner, we understand this fact. We understand that to be an adversary is to go against the norm, is to go against the grain, and for that very fact, you will be considered evil. Yet Christians still view our walk as the opposite of what actually it is. A Luciferian, a vampire, loves life, seeks to strengthen it by self-perception, devoid of unnecessary egotistical thought. Let me repeat that. A Luciferian, a vampire, loves life. We love life. We're not sitting here on the right-hand path trying to destroy being a human, trying to destroy the life we live. We're actually embracing the life we live because we understand that in the life we live is a road to self-mastery. Funny, because before this, I did a reading. This is one of the things we were discussing, how we're taught constantly by the conscious community, by the right-hand path spiritual groups and traditions, that we have to destroy humanity. But in doing that, you're forgetting that you are a human, and your problems lie not in spooking out and looking to spiritual alternative means to grow and transform and hope something saves you, but it's to look at it in the life that you live and master that very part of yourself. In other words, the life you're living, what is it to be human? 1. 2, what is it, or what does it mean to be you? And what you is defined by external philosophy or external viewpoints, or really defined by you. What we tend to find is that we don't really look at ourselves from within. We look at ourselves or judge ourselves from external thoughts or perceptions or opinions. So this causes a disconnect from the fact that on the left-hand path, I master the physical as well as the spiritual. I don't put one above the other, for they both serve their purpose interchangeably and simultaneously. For if I pay attention to my human self, I will understand what habitual patterns were created because of issues that occurred at an early age or to my teenage years, and how the habitual pattern was created from those issues is affecting me today. If I run from that reality and think everything is just super spiritual, then I'll never get to the core issue of what determines my behavior and my reactions to this day on a cyclic or cycle, a program cycle. In other words, a program that has become a vicious cycle over and over because I'm constantly looking outside myself to perfect myself, to help or bring something, God, Allah, angels, Yahweh, Jehovah, to help and assist me grow, to transform. I need some kind of guidance from outside myself to get there. But I refuse to look at my own issues and problems that could be cured, controlled, or mastered from within. So if I go through life and I feel that at an early age, I needed my power and control over my own life was stripped away from me, then the rest of my life, the behavioral patterns that are created causes triggers when I feel that my power and control is being challenged. And it can lead to serious problems later on in life. This is why a Luciferian, a vampire, a black magician, or things of that nature love the life we live. You embrace this life as much as you were told to embrace the spiritual life. The Sethian, the Luciferian, understands life is a great opportunity to come into being as something greater. The primal sense of dissatisfaction was with Lucifer Azazel from the time of heaven. Having all the beauty around him was nothing without self-respect and freedom. The price was painful and dark. Alas, in this darkness was found the light, the black flame of individual being. The vampire sorcerer indeed loves life in the realms of ghosts and shades. We find nourishment in their tombs and black earth. Yet when we emerge in the light of Shaitan in the noontide sun, we can appreciate it more. We explore the dreaming Sabbat as wolf in black and shadow, as Ahriman, the Lord of darkness, as demon and dragon. Yet in the dawn of light, we arise and face the beauty of nature. This alludes to the fact that on the left-hand path, we embrace the darkness. We don't run from the darkness as religion tries to teach. We don't cower because of darkness. We don't fear the dark as we've been taught. Rather, we start to understand that the darkness is more eternal than the fleeting light. Well, what do I mean by that? Quantum mechanics, quantum physics has proven, or is still in the process, continuously proven, that the universe is predominantly dark matter, dark energy. And only about 5 to 7% is light. Yet, right-hand path will clamor about the light. They will go haywire, buku crazy, trying to convince people about the light and love the light, the light, the light, the light. Yet, what is more abundant is the darkness. But we've been taught from an early age to be afraid of the darkness, which is to be afraid of yourself. What do I mean? Well, the darkest parts of yourself is the parts that we don't deal with. It's the parts we run from. It's the parts we try to ignore, but you can't because it is essentially yourself. And the darkest parts of you have more control over you than what you do in the light. What I mean is the light, the conscious or aware part of yourself, has less control over your life than you think. The darkest part of yourself, the subconscious, unconscious, connected to the superconscious, has more control over your life than the light or the conscious self. So we embrace that dark aspect of ourselves. We activate the black flame within, that flame of creativity, that flame of desire, passion, and will to cause a change from our subjective realm into the objective realm. By the antinomian path of self-deification, wow, I actually said the damn word right, separation of the natural order, we are able to observe and enjoy the breathtaking world around us. The forest, the water, the night sky. All of this pleasures many take for granted. We are awake and nothing can stand in the way of that. We begin to understand who and what we are, the possibilities and the process of changing the natural order in accordance to our will. This is the Luciferian, the Vampyre, and the Sethian flame of being, the black flame itself. Now, there are specifically two methods of practice in vampirism as within initiatory context. Mastery of the self and the left-hand path approach of witchcraft and sorcery. The vampire initiate who seeks the union of Ahriman and the disunion with the natural order works in the darker or adversarial spirits, which is similar to what they do within Palo Mayembe and the Petro Voodoo Loa current of sorcery. By entrancing the self, which goes tying back to last week, by entrancing the self by the methods of offbeat rhythm, the magician calls forth the left-handed aspects of the self. The vampiric familis, which is Latin for familiar, whom is the shadow drinker, the lower of the grave, whom has survived physical death and is not held in the limitations of flesh alone. The sorcerer, by employing the technique of trance induction, by offbeat drumming, creates a vortex of sound from which invocation and possession may occur. The mark of the crossroad is the displaced consciousness of the sorcerer, who becomes a gateway to hell, the underworld, the Amduat or the Duat, Hilan, the meeting place of sorcerers and the dead. Now, this part right here is one of the reasons why Brother Beniti in South Florida tries to hold rituals with drumming ceremonies every so often. It is for this very part. It is connecting to the vampiric current, connecting to the shadow drinkers, connecting to the Loa, connecting to the Kali current, the Lilith current, to bring forth the vampiric current within yourself. In order to do that, the drumming, through the sounds, through the vibrations, through the frequencies, as we've discussed many a times, causes an altered state of consciousness. In that altered state of consciousness, depending how fast you're vibrating, you can open gateways, vortexes, or portals of energy to tap into the vampiric currents, to tap into the Loa, to tap into whatever you want to tap into, and assimilate that with self. Now, some of y'all who've gone to the rituals have seen myself and Brother Beniti actually, lack of a better word, They say possession. I say being ridden or mounted. Been mounted by spirits before. Some of y'all have witnessed that and seen this happen when we've done these rituals. It is important because what's happening at the time is your state of consciousness has been altered, and the spirit or the energy that has connected with you is basically disseminating information and knowledge and wisdom to the individual that they need for their personal life or for another person to give a message to them or whatever the case, but it's usually for your benefit, for something you're not paying attention to, what you should be doing, what you should be working on, etc., etc., etc. Now, we're going to come back to this in a little bit. This section right here. In Luciferian, vampiric, and Setian witchcraft, the current of vampirism is explored through the sorcerous aspects of summoning, creating and controlling shadows and wraiths, all connected by the self. Now, let me make this clear. There is a big difference between conjuring and summoning. And those who are in the necromancy classes are starting to understand that if you've been doing your studies diligently, there is a big difference between conjuring and summoning. Okay? So that's some of the things we'll be communicating and discussing in-depthly with individuals that are currently in that class. Before practicing the mentally challenging and dangerous rituals and workings in this tomb, please take some time to explore what you are and how you may connect with this path. Even if a Luciferian witch, even for them, this is a thorny and treacherous road to Rome. You may have certain visitors attracted by the gateways you opened. You've been warned. So, keep that in mind. The vampiric path is not for everybody, so don't let it fool you. And you just want to say, oh, let me just try this and let me see how it goes. That's not for everybody. So it's a warning. Sometimes you open up gateways and portals to deeper aspects of yourself that you're not really ready to deal with, and it can cause some havoc in your life. All right. So in this part right here, I'm going to give, it's like a self-ritual that you can do. And like I always tell you, don't do it just like this. Personalize it, okay? Put your touch to it. But we're going to do a study. It's a vampiric working of self-study where you're going to invoke the vampiric current within yourself. You're going to get familiar with the vampiric current. You're going to connect with the vampiric current from within yourself, okay? But before I get into that part, let's go briefly over what is a vampire, okay? A vampire is not what we see in Hollywood, okay, where a blood-sucking, dry creature is sucking you up. However, there are certain characteristics within the folklore of a vampire that stand to be true. Okay, a vampire, when we say vampire sorcery, what this type of sorcery is tapping into the life current, the chi, the prana, whatever else you want to call it. We tap into that current in and around us. Around us, you may tap into that current from other individuals. You may tap into that current from nature and whatever else you may find. You tap into that current to charge yourself up and other means, okay? You also can utilize the vampiric current for astral projection, and you can visit your target and influence that target for your benefit, whatever that may be. There's various things you can do. You can also utilize the vampiric current in this path to heal yourself and others. That's one part that people don't talk about traditionally. It's not really spoken about because all they want to think is people who practice vampire, sorcery, or magic are just sucking you up. No, that's incorrect. All right? So keep that in mind, that a vampire sorcerer or sorceress manipulates the forces of nature, manipulates the life force to charge themselves up, to feed upon it, but also for other means. A vampire tends to sometimes be seductive by nature. A vampire tends to be very sexual by nature. A vampire also tends to vibrate at a higher frequency, which is why vampires can communicate and see spirits. And they're very connected to their ancestral spirits. A vampire also loves the dark and the light. And by light, I mean the sun, during the sun. It's not Hollywood where, oh, we can't stand the sun and we're just night beings and we get burned up in the sun. No, we get charged up by both. Okay? And we utilize both aspects in our growth. That's the night shade or the night side and the day side. What is the day side? The day side is what you do and what you are every day to exist and survive in this society. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, scientist, a plumber, whatever the case is, that's who you created to survive in this society. And that comes with a certain personality and does certain things. But a dayside vampire never draws too much attention to what they do, the sorcery or magic they work. The night side is where the work really takes place, where you do your sorcery, your astral projection, your absorption of energy, seduction, sex magic, things of that nature. Okay? So that's the two qualities of a vampire. Historically, a vampire is not just from Europe. It is what became famous through Hollywood is the European perspective. The origin of vampire magic can be found in Kemet and throughout Africa. From Kemet, it comes from Sekhmet and the myth or mythos of Sekhmet. Khensu, before the story was altered a little bit about Khensu. Khensu would feed and devour on souls and spirits. Amit or Amemet is also a vampiric perspective. Apep, Apophis, is another vampiric perspective. Set is another vampiric perspective. Throughout Africa and West Africa, you could find it as Oba Ifo. Obaiyfo. Look it up. I might be spelling it wrong, but it's similar to that. It should pop it up. There is myths and folklore about that in West Africa as well. So this is found in our melanated communities and tribes and cultures and things of that nature. All right? So when we work vampire, sorcery, and magic, we're working it for the process of becoming and embodying the archetype, the power of a vampire. Vampire is considered a very powerful, supernatural creature with tremendous strength, keen senses to hear, to see, to smell, the keen ability to seduce, the keen ability to just be in control. Okay? So the vampire represents that archetype. And those who practice as sorcery embody those characteristics, attributes, and power of a vampire. And some of you have had this natural ability to be that person. Some of you women, let's say, for example, just absorb the energy off a dude and you leave him for nothing after you've interacted with them in any physical level. You literally suck these dudes dry. You can't help but sleep like a little baby while you're over there on the treadmill. Okay? Then some men, we tend to be that same way where we are very seductive, very powerful in our nature, very intelligent in our nature, and we have strong sexual energy, seduction, and we will absorb the sexual energy and leave people sleeping. So it works both ways. It's not just one or the other. Okay? We tend to work with certain streams of energy, the death current. Necromancy is also very strong in vampirism. Okay? Why wouldn't it be? When we're connecting with energy of the spirits, we're absorbing not just life force of the chi or the prana of living things, but we also tap into and absorb energy from spirits as well. It's a whole nother level. So understand the vampirism is it's a complex system more than just what we're able to conduct and hold in this small amount of time that we discuss these things. But after I gave that quick overview, let's discuss, for those who are interested in this, if you're not, you can exit stage left. But let's just discuss a vampiric working of self. Okay? First of all, I've been asked this question. How do I decorate my temple or my altar? All right. How do you create a vampiric altar? First of all, two predominant colors that a vampire uses are red and black. Black represents the power. Black represents the night. Black represents the knowledge and the wisdom. The red represents the passion, the lust, the desire, the will. And of course, symbolic of the life current. Within the blood is found the life current, or the spirit. Not that we drink blood. We don't. Most vampire sorcerers will not do that. You have a couple fools who do that, but most of us do not do that. Okay? So, you need to decorate your altar with red and black, the theme colors of red and black. What else should you have on your altar? Well, let me bring my little friend out here, the Blood Moon Vampire. Okay, this is my little friend. This is my archetype. This is a symbol I have on my altar. This is one of the main pieces on my altar. Okay? I am embodying this current, this energy. So you can use symbols of a vampire on your altar. Okay? You can use symbols of skulls, which ties into death current, ancestral and spiritual connection. You can use the symbol of the coffin, which is a symbol of regeneration, which a vampire does through the life current. You can use symbols that represent blood, which is symbolic of the life current found in the blood, not drinking of blood. So if you can find like ink, bat's blood and dragon's blood and things made into ink, the reddish, you put it on your altar. Okay? If you want to have certain archetypes in your altar, that's fine as well. A vampire, one of their number one principles is you are the god. You are the only god that is. But if you choose to have archetypes, realize why you're working with those archetypes is because you're becoming that archetype and embodying that energy, characteristics, power, potential, and attributes. Not worshiping, not groveling. If you want to have archetypes, you can have Kali. You can have Lilith. You can have Sekhmet. You can have Set. Okay? You can even have Ampu, who represents the death current. You can have Hecate, who represents the death current. You can have Nyx from the Greek pantheon, which represents the nightshade or the night current. You could have any one of those things if you want to have archetypes. However, what my altar mostly consists of, outside of Set and Kali, the only two archetypes I have there, is coffins. I have an oscillatory candle, which is the trifold aspects of skulls, and they face in three ways, which is on the website, serpentcrystals.com, for those interested. I have the coffin. I have that. I have a tombstone with a vampire on it. Oh, no, sorry, a bat on it. I have another tombstone. What else do I have on there? I have a Vampyre astral magic. A Vampyre astral projection candle. Um, any symbols. I have a bunch of skulls on there. That's mainly what my altar has. Okay. You can create your altar based on that. So your temple should be laid out with what you feel represents the vampiric current to you. Okay. Now, once you decorate your temple, do this. Before you do your first ritual in that temple or that in front of that altar, I want you to go into the dark. No candles in that room or that place where your altar is at. No candles, no light. I want you to lay on the ground. You can put a pillow, you can put some blankets, whatever you feel. I want you to lay on the floor, the ground. If you have an air mattress, even better. Lay on it in pure darkness, or as much darkness as you can fathom up within your space. I want you to sit there and observe the darkness. Now, if you have fear of the dark, this may be a little tough, but you have to, because you're confronting one of your fears and you have to challenge yourself to overcome that. Sit in the dark. Once you sit there for about a minute, just looking around, take deep breaths, whatever number you want. I usually do the number 9 because that's a number that's sacred to me. Pick whatever number works for you. Take that amount of breaths with your eyes closed. Once you reach that desired number of breaths, slowly open your eyes and gaze around. But keep a steady breath while you're looking around. Did you see a shadow? Did you see something move? Is there something there in the corner? That and much more may pop up while you're doing this. Realize that what you're seeing, what you're looking at, is projections from your subconscious mind, as well as gateways and portals you open when you tap into the dark and things that are always there but we refuse to see. Don't freak out. Don't get scared. You the God, you still in control. So as you lay there, breathing, assimilate yourself into the darkness. Feel the darkness become one with you. Put aside or overcome your fears. Overcome whatever's holding you back. And merge into that darkness. Okay? Now, grab, if you're able to, your eyes should adjust it to the dark. Grab a black candle. If you don't have an air mattress, if you have a pillow that you were laying on, or that, perfect. On the floor, put your mirror on the floor. Okay? If you have to get all this before you do this dark ritual, and you should have it in place already, then that helps the time frame and have all this in place. So once you do the dark ritual, you go right into this. You have a mirror on the floor where you're laying at. Okay? Sit up on the pillow or on the cushion or whatever you're using. Light the black candle and have a mirror in front of that black candle. Place yourself on the pillow and begin a slow meditation on what you, in your personal mind, consider a vampire spirit to be. Think about all the attributes of what you think a vampire spirit is. And then how do you relate to these attributes of the vampire? Then grab the mirror, hold it, and gaze into it. Focus your mind. Don't let your mind wander around. Command the world of darkness to open to you. However you want to say this, I command the dark and the dark spirits, dark, whatever. However you want to say it with a surety and strength. Command the world of darkness to open to you, and then watch yourself transform while looking in the mirror. And then will your flesh and astral body to change and morph into a vampiric form of your choosing. Perceive yourself as that vampiric spirit, and remember that. In time, you will change. Now, word to the warning, if you feel too scared and scared shitless out your mind, you may want to stop and banish whatever's scaring the shit out of you. Okay? It's just a reminder. This part is becoming the vampire, is connecting with the vampire, is working with the vampiric current to be as the vampire. So keep that part in mind. All right, a little more. The Ahrimanic Vampire. And if you don't choose to use Ahriman, you could use Set. Okay? You can use whatever you want that is symbolic of an adversarial current. I use Set a lot, so I will say Set in place of Ahriman. Okay? The Setian vampire is one who has isolated the psyche, understanding that we are spiritual beings within the flesh. We can thus control our immediate surrounding world. As we are born in darkness, we are nourished in the shadows. As we are strengthened in the noon sun, which is the time of Shaitan, we create darkness and shadow equally. The Setian vampire seeks the in-between, or the nether world of twilight, from which the shades of the dead commune with the living. The shadow may be grown, cultivated, manipulated through the will of the Setian sorcerer, the Setian vampiric sorcerer. Through darkness, we expand and strengthen our consciousness. It is this hidden aspect of sorcery and witchcraft which breeds the legends of evil concepts, while it is only a hint at the purpose of the left-hand path. This way is devoid of moralistic concepts. Thus, in the absolute and in the isolation from it, we are uniquely separate from all exterior forces. We are separate from the very essence of gods and goddesses. Keep your moralistic crap out of this when you're working vampire sorcery. Much of the morals we were taught was programmed by society, religion, family, culture, etc. Confront your morals. Confront that moralistic concepts. Set it to the side when you get into this kind of work. The Setian vampire is one who separates the psyche from the natural order and masters the night side or astral plane within our physical world, which we seek to control from within. If you haven't astral traveled or projected, now is the time to start practicing or learning to do it. As we get deeper into these vampiric classes, meaning when we get into the private classes, we're going to, one of the main focuses is mastering astral travel. Astral travel is essential for your growth. It is the realm where you can create, destroy, alter things according to your will immediately. Forms in the night side, of which we assume the bat, the wolf, the moth, or hybrid of each and others, are the extensions of our will and desire. The vampire is a being which has deified itself through the antinomian process of death and rebirth. One who has passed through through the ancient aspects of Set and Anpu, the guardians of the threshold. The symbol of the dragon, known as Tiamat, or Leviathan, or Pep, is also Ahriman, or Set, the coiled beast that is of serpent wisdom. The dragon has fueled the myths of Dracula, the dragon race from Valkyria. Dracos, Draconum, is the very shadow of the immortal fountain of life, which the vampire seeks to bask in eternally. Now, as you work this, always remember you are the god. Okay? Always remember that you're in control. And always remember your purpose for practicing vampire sorcery. It's not for everybody and may scare the living crap out of some people. But that's because they don't understand spiritual predatory instincts. Everything in life, whether people agree with this or not, feeds off of something else. Parasites feed off of something else. Trees feed off of your carbon. And you feed off of a tree's oxygen. It's that simple, but we want to make it complex because our morals come popping up and we want to judge things immediately as right or wrong. And right or wrong really don't exist because right or wrong is based upon your perception. What could be good for you could be bad for me and vice versa, depending on the situation. So we got to keep that in mind. So when you're working sorcery on a vampiric level, understand why you're doing it and the purpose behind it. Okay? For example, let's say you have this woman you really feeling, and you can feel that she's feeling you, but she needs a little nudge. You can astral project that evening, go visit her in the astral plane, and you can seduce her mind with your vampiric current and energy and give a little nudge so she can overcome her apprehension or her hesitation to interact with you. That's one. Two, you may need financial assistance or you may need more finances, and this one individual can be the very answer to your problems. So you tap into the astral plane, you tap into their mind, you plant the seed, and you keep it moving. So keep this in mind. There's many benefits to practicing vampiric sorcery. Not everybody can understand it, but it is an aspect that if you're serious on the left-hand path, you'll want to work and investigate. Now, I suggest for individuals to get that little pamphlet called Nox Umbra. If you can't find it, I have the PDF version. You can email me. Because there's rituals in there that are very powerful that you need to work with. All right, if you're really serious about this. Now, let me go up and see the questions or comments, and then we'll start taking questions after. Your will loves weed, huh? That's all good, though. All right, King Chung, your peas. Everybody, I would say all of us, our wills can become a lot stronger, y'all. Our wills can become a lot stronger. Okay? It's not, I'm not saying that in a negative sense because all of us can practice on strengthening our will all the time. There's never a time where you cannot say that, okay, I felt like my will should be stronger. Most of the time we're going to feel this. As long as we're alive, there's always going to be a challenge to ourselves. Amir El Bey, that is 100%. One of the first things I really started to analyze when I got deeper into the left-hand path was how Father Allah was more on point than people think. How Even Noble Drew Ali was on point with a lot of these sciences. And I self-lowered and master. I, me, the self, the true self, and the Lord and the master over my domain. I am the God. I am the sovereign being. I am the chaos being, the primordial being in control of my domain, my existence, my actions, etc., etc., etc. That cannot be, I mean, that was so profound way back when it was revealed, still stands true to this day. Listen, the whole aspect of humans and humanity, you got to understand something. We all been taught many different facets, many different aspects from conscious path, from those doing magic and everything else. You got to challenge everything you've been taught. That's one of the things I had to do. I walked the conscious path for so many years. I had to challenge everything I was taught. And you got to understand something. To truly be a master over self is to master the physical and the spiritual. You're incomplete if you just master one over the other. So let's give a symbols. Let's say 360 degrees of physical mastery and 360 degrees of spiritual mastery. Then you're a master when you combine the two. Do you understand? You become a master then. But what happens through the conscious community is they master only physical and forget about the spiritual. I mean, they master only the spiritual and forget about the physical. This is why you have so many people who are so-called in the conscious community who are flat, broke-ass people. You have so many people who have issues upon issues, and it surfaces within their workings, and it surfaces within their attempts to build communities, and those communities are torn down from within because of those issues people have. Do you understand that to be a true master, you must master the physical, the human aspect of self? You cannot keep saying that humanity or your human nature is not important. It is important. Because if you don't understand your human nature, you don't understand your demonic integration. You have to understand your human nature to integrate with your demonic self or your true self. This is why, 2 weeks ago, we went over, or was it last week, the advocate, the familiar, okay, and how that connects to the demonic self. It is important to understand the integration between the three. And to do that, you have to understand your human self. Where did your issues begin? Because when you get to that point and you master that, then you're more of a god over yourself and see how you can enjoy the physical to obtain wisdom and knowledge and power to propel you in the spiritual. See, those who are practicing Kali Kaula or Vamamarga Tantra or even the Agori of India understood this fact. Their principle, one of their philosophies is they're sacred even in the taboo. That the very things we consider taboo has sacred knowledge, teaching, and wisdom that we need to transform ourselves. And when you go and understand that the taboo has the very thing you need for your transformation, then you see there ain't no such thing as good or bad. That's all human bullshit that we created. Then you start to understand why people may say, screw humanity. But to understand that part, you first have to embrace and indulge in humanity to see that even the bullshit has sacredness for your transformation, has power for your transformation. But if I ignore my humanity, then I'm always going to have some underlying issues that are going to affect my behavior adversely. All right, let's keep going. Dark is life, correct. And let me say this, y'all. Something I noticed on the conscious community, bullshit. And yeah, I'll call it out. Notice this, y'all. Why is it everything in the conscious community has to be dipped in chocolate? Think about this. Everything has to be dipped in chocolate, whether it's verifiable, whether it's true or not. Everything has to be dipped in chocolate. Buddha's dipped in chocolate. The Aztecs are dipped in chocolate. The Mayans, I understand all this. I know. I was in that crap for years. I understand the significance behind it. But that is to say that no one or no thing of any significance was never important if they were in chocolate. See, this is working in reverse actually in your mind, because now you're creating a new set of bullshit that's going to cause more harm to you. Because now you're creating delusions as if everything had to be dipped in chocolate and no one other than chocolate ever made great contributions. Well, that mentality will stop people from studying the left-hand path or vampirism or things of that nature. True indeed, all things were birthed from Africa, and we gave birth to all of this. But people took it and created shit from it. Now you go back into it, get it, understand it, and apply it to your life for your growth and transformation. There's a purpose and a difference behind that than just saying everything's dipped in chocolate and nothing else matters. Bullshit. I tell any one of them fools, it matters. And you can't keep going around dipping everything in chocolate, because then you basically minimize other people and you create more problems for yourself and others. Anyway, that's another note. Lucky D, that's 100% correct. In the night, if you keep your eyes open, you'll start to see these dark spots and energy, electricity, and all kinds of stuff constantly moving around. But that's the things that we've been taught to fear, but those things really are not there to hurt you. They're there for you to tap into and empower yourself. Yep. All right. Some of us are very nocturnal by nature. We enjoy the night. We enjoy the power and the energy of the night, and we feel comfortable in the night, more comfortable than in the day. So keep that in mind. That is part of your natural nature. And Alex, that is 100% correct. I forgot to mention that earlier when I was going over Vampyre and some of his origins. Yes, the Pharaoh Unas is a perfect example of vampirism. He devoured the gods. He took on the power of the gods by devouring them. That's a perfect example right there. Thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot. Shit, this thing. All right, Amir. There is the Gede. All the Gede have a current of vampirism in it. All the barons have a current of vampirism because they absorb the spirit or the energy of the dead, a lot of them. They have a seductive energy. They have a sexual energy. So I work with Baun Samedi quite often on my vampiric path. That is something that you can definitely do. Incorporate that into your vampiric workings. Alex Vera, yes, that's a good recommendation. Study King Unas in the pyramid text. Very important. Smooth to God, yes, it could be effective if you have to erect it for only rituals. Whenever you're going to work a ritual at that time. Sometimes some of us have to have mobile altars, so you got to do what you got to do to keep it going. Well, the talk of cannibalism, Alex, is not really cannibalism. That's more symbolic of absorbing the power and the energy of the gods. And cannibalism wasn't done just because they were hungry. Cannibalism was done a lot of times because they felt they ate the individual, they absorbed the power of that individual. So, yeah. All right. Well, the necrocannon, eat or be eaten. Yes, predatory. You're either a predator or prey. You're either the master or the servant. Unfortunately, most of us have become servants and slaves, and far few of us are gods or masters. So that's the task, to become the master, the god over self, to be that person who no longer is prey and victim to society, to their brainwashing, to their bullshit, etc., etc., etc. True fact. All right, King Aurora, peace, peace. Good to see you here. That's right, Necrocannon, all is mine. Mine is all. Everything around you is a product of your mind. True, 720. That's right, 720. 360 of knowledge, 360 of wisdom. Wait, 360 of... Fuck, I'm going blank. 360 spirit, 350... Yeah, anyways, 360 physical, 360 spiritual, creating 720 of wisdom, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. And 720, what's interesting about 720 is 7-2 in a cipher or 0. 9 is rebirth, reborn, and completion. Constantly being complete, constantly being reborn. Now get this, y'all. You want to see what's interesting? Just take a note, y'all. Last week, when we were discussing the topic last week, and even Thursday when we did subconscious, we had a lot more people than we have now watching and listening. What's interesting is that when we get into topics like vampirism, things like that, people's morals, even though they've been on the left-hand path or feeling this, their morals come up and they start veering off from the topic. Just pay attention to y'all. Next time I flip to another subject and then come back to vampirism, watch. And that's how you know that people who even claim to be on this path are still full of shit or are scared themselves of a lot of things. All right, anyways. Mastering the physical includes lust, desire, and passion. That's where those light walkers lack. They deny versus master what is and always will be. 100% true. If I could take that shit, chop it up, put it in a shirt, Alex Rivera, we will all be making buku money if we chop that shit up and put it on shirts in little pieces. That's right, Demetrius Clark. Chocolate consciousness. Oh, shit, my legs. That's true. Wacky J, that's true. Whenever you start talking about certain things, people sometimes fade away or veer off because they want to hear what they want to hear. Understand? They want to hear how great we are. They want to hear how chaotic we are. They want to hear all this shit, but when you start getting into working some aspects of vampirism, working some aspects of taking that chaotic energy and actually steering it into vampirism, and people are going to start disappearing because it's not massaging their ego as much, so people tend to disappear. That's right, Andre Polk. Most chocolate don't write books, or second, most chocolate don't do archaeology. Most chocolate don't do scientific research, etc., etc., etc. It's unfortunately. Mystic passion, definitely you are a nocturnal creature. I agree with that. You may be 100% a nocturnal creature. If you really want to know if you're a nocturnal creature, the next time you're in darkness and you feel that first moment of darkness, jot down in your journal what exactly you feel. a surge of energy, a clarity, whatever it is, that will answer your question why you love the darkness. Thank you, Woke Media, for suggesting some books there on astral projection. I appreciate that. I can't always do that because I got to talk and type. So, yeah. And that's not always easy. But I appreciate that. Demetrius Clark, actually, the Temple of Vampyre, what's interesting about that is they actually have a website and they have some good books that you could get on vampirism too. Pretty good. But like I said, I'm going to start putting this vampiric order together for melanated people so we can start working it our way, our path. All right. Mirabir, yes, Baun Semdi, Baron Semdi. That's one of the name ones I work with on the vampiric current. Very strong, as well as working with sex magic. Very strong. Musical sorcerer, that's 100%. Our ancestors were not caught up in skin color. Modern day humanity is caught up on that bullshit. Well, mystic passion, because people think or say they want to be powerful, but when you really bring up the powerful aspects, their fears and their doubts start popping up and they run like little sissies. Good. As long as we all are feeling comfortable with the darkness, that's all that counts. But give me a second, y'all. I hate to do this, but give me a second. But nature calls real quick. Hold on. All right, y'all. My bad. My bad. Let me ask y'all a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Have you ever had to pee so bad that when you pee, you felt like you was having an orgasm? Well, that's what just happened. My goodness. Anyways, so I'm back. All right, where was I? Let me scroll up here before I lose where I was at. All right, here we go. Okay, Andre Paul, I agree with that. Like I say, next week we're gonna make a class on how to get the baby you want, the honey you want, the man you want. Well, we'll be popping up in here with 100 people. Yep, Alex Rivera, yes, they do. It's good to do a lot of your rituals in the dark. A lot of us been like, that's why I was saying last week, a lot of us been taught to always turn on a candle, to always do this or that, and we're following other people's traditions. Try doing a ritual in the dark. Not only in the dark, try doing a ritual butt naked in the dark and see the difference in the level of energy in your work. Okay? Try that one day. Yeah, y'all. Nature calls, y'all. Sometimes you can't help them things, man. Just can't help it. Yep. All right. How would you know? Good question by Smooth the Guy. How would you know if you properly stored energy from your dayside feedings? Okay. Everybody's different, but when I feed and I feel a lot of energy, that I've stored a lot of energy, I sometimes feel it in the back of my neck as a tingling energy, the top of my crown, or in my solar plexus area, or in my root chakra area, depending on where I fed and what I fed off of. Okay? But when you feel a surge of energy, a constant surge of energy that lasts for a while, and you've stored the energy and you fed properly, you did a lot of absorbing, and the energy is now stored in you, and it keeps surging, charging through you. So that's one way to check. But remember, when you feed as a vampire, when you feed off an individual, you gotta focus on one of the chakras to feed off of. For example, depends what you are seeking. If you want power and strength and things like that, feed off of a person's solar plexus. Okay? If you want sexual energy, feed off of the root chakra and the sacral chakra. If you're trying to tap into their mind, feed off of the brow chakra area. Okay? Depending on what area you're feeding on for what purpose is the way is also how you're going to be able to measure or feel the surge of energy from those areas. Okay, and how much energy you're going to receive from those areas. I'm going to tell you now, one of the most potent forms of energy and the stronger form of energy you're going to feel, you already know what I'm going to say, is the sexual energy. You're going to feel that stronger than possibly even tapping into somebody's mind or consciousness. It's a different kind of energy. Sexual energy is chaotic energy. Now, people may not understand that, and some people may probably disagree. How is it chaotic? The very act of sex is chaos. How? Foreign entities entering another foreign entity, causing friction. Friction's causing all kinds of sparks and chaos. And yeah, it's chaos in the very essence of it. Why do you think those true chaos beings love the freaking sex so much? Why do you think you love it so much that you just feel charged up by it? Not just, oh, I did it, felt good, now I can sleep or relax, so I'm good. But it's like you're so charged up, you feel like you can run a marathon. It's the difference. Alex, I don't have one yet, but we're gonna meet up before you leave. All right. Just let me know on the week of January 24th, 25th. Let me know if you have time either one of those days, and we'll meet up. All right. We'll meet up, hang out, build, and stay in touch after you go on your journey. So definitely let me know if you're able or available those 2 days. Okay, purple light and darkness. When you're seeing purple light and darkness, a lot of that light is energy from chaotic beings or demons, as we would call them. Okay. That's energy that's basically coming from the death realm, or the realm, the spirit realm of the death current, into this realm. So it comes with a different charge and a different frequency. So this is why you see it as purple. Yes. Also think about this, Amir Obey. The root chakra is red and also has a color of black with it. Who else, what archetype has red and black? Think about it. And they're also connected with opening ritual, opening the pathways, opening the crossroads. Papa Legba. There you go. In Yoruba or Ifa or Santeria, it's Alegua. Red and black. Symbolic of your root chakra, opening the pathway to working with the higher realms or the higher chakras for unification and integration. So think about when you worked or did or had to work or still work with a Legua or a Shu or Papa Legba, what you're really working with. Think about that for a moment. What you're really working is your root chakra. Okay. Hecate and the trifold energy of Hecate. Maiden, the mother, and the crone. Hecate is also known and connected to the death current. Vampyric current is connected to the death current. So that's how the two connect. So when you use a vampiric or create a vampiric ritual, you can use Hecate in your ritual as an archetype to tap into that current, the death current of the vampiric death current, or connecting to the vampiric current in general. So that's how you will use Hecate to tap into the death current that's connected to the vampiric current. Now, there's different ways to work with Hecate, but I'm just speaking about the vampiric current right now. Yes, Lasura Mundo. All these that y'all mentioning, those are all connected to your root chakra. And this is why most of these archetypes are crossroads deities, or openers of the crossroads, symbolic of your root chakra that needs to be worked on, needs to be focused on for you to work clearly your spiritual path. It's all interconnected, and this is why there's that symbolism between the two. So, he just wants to say hi again, y'all. It's just my symbol right here. I'll put my little hat on this. Oh, shit, y'all. Look at that. Look at that pimp. Anyways, all right, so any other questions, y'all? Bring it. Any other questions, y'all? Let's bring it. Before we wrap this up, let's bring it. Okay, Alex Rivera, perfect. Love the question. How would you differ working with an archetype versus a spirit? An archetype is a metaphor, a symbol, of a power, an attribute or characteristic which is defined by some as a god or a goddess, whereas a spirit is an actual being that once existed in flesh and blood. How the problem comes in is that people associate gods and goddesses as being real. It cannot really be proven if a god or a goddess is real. That's more of your subjective experience, more of your subjective belief. And if you have contact with an archetype, it happened in your subjective realm, which I can't co-sign in that because I wasn't there with you. So I can't verify your experience as being right or wrong. It's your subjective. Do not try to prove it to me and me as your objective contact or social interaction. Do not try to prove it to me because that's your personal thing. So, as being that case, they're metaphors, okay, of characteristics or examples that you can embody to become greater than you are today. A spirit once existed in flesh and blood. And as we know, everything is energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. So what happened is that as the flesh is decayed, the spirit, the energy is still existing. Although some people cannot see it with the physical eye, does not mean it's not there. You can make contact and interact with this energy because energy is always all around us. And the more spiritual work you do, the more you're able to see energy. So spirits are flesh and blood beings that once existed and are now null and void of a flesh and are able to interact with you in this physical realm. Being that's the case, spirits had lives like us. So they can be contacted to do certain work for certain knowledge and information or certain things like that. That's the main difference between an archetype and a spirit. However, spirits, some of them are tricksters and can use the shape, the symbolism of an archetype to fool you into getting you to do something for them. Smoother guide, you can program your crystal to actually absorb energy and take it from people. For example, I have obsidian on my website, obsidian stones. Those are perfect to absorb energy from people. Perfect. They're also perfect if you work any jinn magic to trap the jinn inside of that crystal. You're welcome, Alex. Like I said, hit me up on January 24th to 25th so we can connect before you leave. All right. If your altar's in your bedroom and she sleeps like a baby, but you don't, it could possibly be that you are very connected to the vampiric current and the spirit, the vampiric current and the death current. And instead of that energy, that current charges you up. It gives you a lot of energy, so it makes it more difficult for you to come down to a lower vibration for you to get rest. Whereas your wife may work with it, but she may not be as connected as you. So it's easier for her to fall asleep because the current or the energy doesn't charge her up as much. It depends. I'm not there, so I couldn't tell you. Well, you do know if y'all partners, okay? Obviously, y'all are. y'all start sinking in on the same mental wavelength. And how long y'all have been together, depending how long you've been together, your wavelength can sink into each other where you can actually tap into each other's dream or pull each other into each other's dreams. So that happens a lot when people are really close and been together for a long length of time. You start vibrating on the same mental wavelength. And then you can tap into each other's dreams and things of that nature. Sometimes you do it consciously. Most of the time you do it unconsciously. All right, y'all. 2 more questions and we're going to wrap this up. 2 more questions. 2 more questions, y'all. Okay. Well, let me say this. You should scan the target that you should scan the individual or the thing that you're targeting. And you should do a thorough scan because some of their energy may be tainted or harmful to you. Now, as a god, once you set your intention and you strengthen yourself, not much can harm you, but that doesn't mean things can't seep in over time. So it's good to always scan and check if that energy that you're trying to absorb is more beneficial or has some harm to it. So always keep that in mind. From what I know, some orders do have group rituals where they do astral projection as a group together and things of that nature. Yes, they do. And that's one of the things we're going to have in our order. Musical sorcerer, it exists. That's my impression because I've been ridden, so-called possessed by a spirit numerous times. There's rituals in Miami that we did it, and I also was ridden by a spirit, which some would call possessed, and they've witnessed it happen. So, yes, my thought on it is that it does happen. And when they do possess or ride or mount you, they do work through you to reveal communication, to charge up with energy, to heal you, whatever the case may be. It happens and it exists, and I verify it 100% as being true. Others who were there have also witnessed it, that it does happen and it works. And it is something that has been happening in certain circles of magic or cultures or things like that. But just Hollywood takes it or twists it to be something evil or wrong, which sometimes you can have harmful spirits. But for a lot of times, no, they're not harmful spirits. They're there connecting with you because you're lacking or missing something that you need to work with them. You're welcome, Andre Pope. All right, y'all. So that'll be it for the questions this evening. And let's wrap it up. Next week, we'll be going a little more into vampirism, dealing with a little more aspects of vampirism. So let's get involved with this. Let's get deeper into this. And also, I'm going to incorporate not only doing the vampirism, but how to work with the dark forces and dark spirits in your vampirism more. All right? All right, y'all. So let me say peace. And I'll see y'all next week. I might do a surprise class during the week, but you'll get the notification. If you need my email, here's my email for any questions, comments, or concerns for anything. Hit me up here, darkoccultist99@outlook.com. Check out my site, serpentcrystals.com. If you're going to work vampirism, you got to go on my site because the vampiric section is the things you need to work vampire is right there. All right? Peace.